Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the bane of my comment sections for the past week. This is TIAN by Mili, as I'm sure you know by now. Another song from Limbus Company, and so many people constantly, every comment section, yelling at me to get to this. I always do, as long as one person says something, but I do have a schedule, guys. Like, give me a couple of days to get there. I have to cycle back around. If I do something on an off day, it's gonna fuck with the rest of the week, and I just don't deal with that. So I keep it, I save it until the next time around. I don't need a reminder every day, but thank you for letting me know it existed in general, because I do need that. But if you see another comment, don't feel the need to tell me. I know. I definitely know. People always let me know. But of course I'm going to get to something that has that much support behind it, so here's this song, and without further ado, let's go! Oh! Okay, Chinese is different. Makes me wonder how many languages Cassie knows, or if it's just phonetic. Kind of rocking with the beat. There's a lot of beef on the bottom of that kick drum, a lot of resonance. Hey, wait a minute. Okay. This is a different sound from them. I don't think I've heard them do this genre specifically. It's different, but me likey. Them with their lyrics. They are. Good vibes are limitless. I'm getting lost in things again. I'm focusing on so much. It's got a lot of cool stuff going on. They always do, but this one stands out. Especially with how she's handling the lyrics and the vocals. Vibing with it. And again, fat beat. Morbid as always. Every time. Man, Man, they did it again. They caught me off guard with something I wasn't anticipating that has a similar approach to how they usually write music, but in a completely unique way, to me at very least. I haven't heard them do this flavor yet, so it's always cool to hear something new from a familiar face, you know? I always feel like it's a little bit of a cheap out when I do these videos with Mili stuff, because their art especially gives me so many context clues as to the situation, the story being told. In this case, you could see like robotic hands kind of doing the picture frame, and you saw somebody through that, and it looked like they were kind of turning into the flower petals on the way out, and I could see this like road in front of her, and she's turning around and looking at the camera. These people lined up, completely expressionless, faceless, and it's like, okay, so she's dying, and I assume this like character with robot hands is probably just a robot and therefore isn't dying, and there's that connection there, and that makes sense with like the lyrics talking about death and just moving things on, and it's rude to overstay. That's kind of a neat little thing to throw into the lyrics. There's so many cool things about the lyrics. It's also just the instrumental was so different compared to stuff I had heard. I mentioned that earlier. It's just how this song feels so different from all the other stuff I've experienced from them so far. Even their more independent stuff, this had a completely different vibe going on. I felt like this was an experimental approach almost for a Mili song. Like they haven't quite done this before, but they were like, hey, we know what to do. It's just a matter of applying it. And they did a really good job here. The beat was fat. The mix was really good. I love that kick. It had so much low end. I know I mentioned that, but that's really worth stating again, just because of how balanced it was. It carried the entire low end, just that alone. There were other things going on with the instruments, just everything felt like it had its place, and I say that a lot when there's a good song that does that, and I feel like I can never say it too many times, no matter how many videos I make, because it is so difficult to get that balance just right, and they did it here. I also love that vocally, it sounded like she was either imitating the Chinese opera style of vocals, which is in itself mimicking an instrument. So like, that's cool too. The fact that they're like, hey, let's approach this, since we know we're going to have like the Chinese lyrics and everything in here, let's make this a little bit more interesting melodically and add some pitch bends basically and do that themselves. And that approach to vocals is really specific to Chinese opera, like Peking opera, because of how it's specifically going after like this jinghe sound. It's like it's going specifically for these wooden instruments, usually the stringed ones, trying to mimic that pitch bend that you can do on those instruments. They also sometimes try to mimic like woodwind style, like the flutes and everything, but it really just depends on the performance, depends on the performer. There's plenty of stuff there. I'm not like a historian on Peking opera by any means, but I've done my research on it in recent months, and I do find myself loving it. So I've learned some things about it, and I love that they were throwing in these little, you know, nuggets of stuff to kind of pay homage to that musical style and still keep it fresh and unique in itself and still sound like itself. It still has this modern twist to it, with especially those drums in there, and just in general approaching it like kind of an EDM-esque vibe is really cool to me. I think that that's supposed to be some sort of thematic blend between the robot and then this character who's probably a traditionalist, I would assume, based off that. Maybe I might just be pulling things out of thin air with that one, but it would kind of make sense if that's the approach they're going for, and I like that. I also do, again, like the message here of just the, here's mortality, this is reality. You don't really have that problem, Mr. or Mrs. Robot, but we hope that you are able to understand how the world works in this way. Don't forget who you are. Just because I'll be gone soon, it is my time eventually, as it is with all mortals. Just keep that in perspective. And it's like, that's a really neat story. Again, I know that this is a Limbus Company song. I don't know these characters, so I don't really know if any of that is accurate. I'm doing my best to guess here, but it feels right, especially again with that image really giving me everything I needed to at least place that much context down and be able to understand what the overall story is. I can put that much together on my own. And again, back on the vocals, I mean, I just love the vocals here, so there's plenty of things to talk about, but every single time I think of something new, I have to talk about it. The harmonies that Cassie was doing in this as well, again, mimicking those stringed instruments beautifully, those really tight harmonies in there. It made it sound like that resonance was really coming through to her voice, and just layering her vocals so many times pulled that off off. It just sounds so good. But also lyrically, I mentioned I liked the lyrics and what they were doing earlier, but specifically the way that Mili and Cassie, of course, writing them, was doing it this time felt more standard. And that might be weird to say, but usually it sounds like Mili doesn't seem to care. Like when Cassie approaches vocals and lyrics in general, she seems to not really care if they rhyme at all. And that's something that's kind of just been a part of their sound in general. It's just, they don't seem to mind if they rhyme or not. It doesn't really have any purpose to them, it seems. And in this one, it almost felt like it was deliberately rhyming. Maybe that's just because they rhymed this time a lot more often, but I feel like that might have been a deliberate choice for the song too. I'm not sure if they'll continue doing that from here on out, and this was just the first song of many to come that might have a little bit more of that standard approach to their lyricism, but I really thought that was worth mentioning just because it is so out of the norm for them. So maybe that's something new that we're going to get to start hearing more often, or if it was just for this project, it was probably for a good reason, and the reason it is probably something that is above my head as far as my awareness of the story. So maybe it's just because they're all based on books and they wanted to be a little bit more literate with it. Who knows? I don't really know. I'm just taking guesses here, but again, beautiful song from how they handled the instrumental and all of the little flavors they put in here, and mostly just having that low end with that kick, just really that alone was holding the low end, but everything else on the top end sounded so much more flighty and loose, like there was nothing holding them to the mortal coil that they're currently in, and they could at any point drift off into the distance. So musically, that is really refreshing too. I've been hearing a lot more songs doing that recently, just approaching that floating energy and taking that in stride, going wherever they want with it, and it's just been a fun listen. So it's cool that this song is doing kind of a similar thing there. And again, just it's different for Mili, and I love that there's still more that they can do, and that while they definitely have their sound, they definitely have their general approach and their formula for making Mili music, that there are still things that they haven't shown us yet. There's still parts of their creativity as musicians that they haven't shown. I also heard something else recently. You won't see this for a while unless you're a member, but there was a song called Gilroy from another game where, again, it had a different approach, and I think that was mostly because it was Yamato Kasai doing everything on his own. So like that's a different sound just inherently, but again, under the Mili name, showing that they've got a lot of flexibility left to utilize. They're not getting capped out by anything and not falling into some sort of rut yet. So that's always nice to see from a musician and a group. So I'm excited to see more of what they have in the future. Every time I hear something like this, I get more excited for the future. But I think that's about all I'll say on this one. So thank you all so very much for watching, and thank you for letting me know about this song, albeit just a smidge much. I still respect it. Thank you all so very much. If you have any other songs you want me to get to from Mili, from Limbus Company, anything, drop it in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to them. Or if you just like this video and you want to follow me and support me for more stuff in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!